All right, so I'm going to talk about my paper. I have my paper, my research paper pulled up right here. I'm going to kind of go over some sections of it. I did my research paper on the effects of teacher tenure on education. So tenure is defined as to give someone a permanent post, especially a teacher or a professor. Tenure was originally brought about in colleges and universities. They would give it to the most prestigious professors, and they would receive this because back then they wanted teachers to be able to teach controversial topics, and no matter what area they were in, because it was a place of higher education without the fear of getting fired. Then soon after, teacher tenure became a thing in our public school system. And before tenure, it was a thing because before tenure, women were being dismissed for getting things such as simple as getting married, becoming pregnant, wearing pants, or being out too late. So things that simple could get people fired from their jobs, which had nothing to do with work performance. So now you can think about if they started teaching something that went against what the community thought or what the principal thought, they'd be let go like that. Um, so now teacher tenure is very common. It says roughly 2.3 million public school teachers in the United States have tenure. Tenure is basically a fixture of our school system now. Everywhere you go, if you're in a public school system, you're going to have tenure. And tenure can be earned in as little as 2 years in some districts. I know that San Diego Unified District, you can get tenure in 2 years. So it's instead of it being a reward for being a quality educator and them wanting you to stick around the school for a while, it's now almost a rite of passage for someone who just stuck it out at the same school for 2 years. Now they don't have to worry about getting fired. One of the first reasons that tenure was introduced was, like I said, for teachers getting fired of little things, like I mentioned above, but also so that they could speak out in defense of their students. So a teacher to speak out on behalf of their student, they might go to the administration. If the administration doesn't see what they're seeing, they don't think they need to provide anything more for the student, the teacher can now go over their head without the fear of getting fired for speaking out against their boss. It provides protection for teachers who are sticking up for what they believe is right. Another thing teacher tenure provides protection against is what you want to teach in your class. So teachers can teach controversial topics in some areas. Teaching the theory of evolution, per se, may be very taboo. This allows teachers the right to teach that if they want to, and not worried about getting fired. That includes some literature, controversial books such as Catcher in the Rye and To Kill a Mockingbird. I mentioned those in my essay. And the public school system is a very political place, so new administrations always coming in, administrations going in and out. There are always new ideas about what the best form of education is or how we should teach our students. And what teacher tenure does, if a teacher's been at a school forever and they have their ways of teaching and they feel that it's the most effective way, then they can continue teaching them that way. If they've seen year after year, this is what get the students best prepared, they can stick with that. One of the negatives, there are many positives to teacher tenure, but there are also many negatives to it too. One of the negatives is that people believe teacher tenure creates like complacency. So if a teacher doesn't have to, if they've already earned tenure, they might just keep with the same lesson plans, not bother revising it for what would make the students learn better. They might just year after year keep flushing out the same lessons without thought, become complacent. They don't have to worry about getting fired. So a lot of teachers do that. Well, that's one of the big things. And it's also seen that teacher tenure negatively affects low-income areas the most because low-income areas have the highest need for teachers. So at the beginning of the year, low-income areas just want to be able to they want someone to be at the front of the classroom. If you're at a school that's more prestigious, a lot of times it's a lot harder to get these jobs because it's competitive. A lot of people want to work there. But some of the schools where people it isn't as desirable for teachers to work. They just need to fill the classrooms. If they need to fill the classrooms, they're going to fill it with whoever they want, well, whoever is willing to. And a lot of times, people will stick around for a couple years because of the high need, and and then after a couple years, they have tenure, and then they're a fixture at the school. And then year after year after year after year, students are getting their education compromised by these teachers who aren't fulfilling their job or their duties as a teacher. So, like I said, there are a lot of positives, a lot of negatives to teacher tenure. It is very difficult to remove a teacher once they have tenure, but it is not impossible. A lot of people just view tenure as this uphill battle of like, oh, it's not even worth it. So a lot of times the cases will just get swept under the rug if it's not something extreme, and that lets teachers keep their tenure and stay at the schools. Yeah, this is just my article. All right, thank you.